All right, so from where we left off last time, we have the following. So we can able to move, and it's all randomized. And so now I'm thinking we need to probably have two things, right? Let's have it so that when the asteroid hits our ship, then the game will just end. And then after that, maybe let's put in like some bullets. Okay, so let's come down here, and if we open up if we open up something here, let me see something. PyGame documentation. Okay, PyGame documentation. All right, and we go over here and let's go down to sprite. So I know that this is a lot to look at, but this is where you can go to get information pretty much about anything regarding PyGame. Right, so let's go here, let's go sprite. All right, and if you go on sprite, there is actually something here for collisions. It's called pygame.sprite.sprite collide, right? If I click on that, it'll tell me everything that we need to know about this, right? It finds when sprites in a group that intersect with one another. So when you're looking at a single sprite attacking a group, and then do kill means if you want to eliminate it from the screen, and then these are other ways where we can determine collision, because collisions can be when a rectangle collides with a rectangle, or when two circles intersect each other, or a lot of different other shapes. Okay, all right, so this is what we're going to be using. The reason why we're going to be using this is because our player itself is a single sprite. So right here, this, we remember we had player equals player here. So this is a single sprite, one ship. And if we go back now, the group is a group of meteors, which we have here. Remember, we had the all sprites that had everything, but then we also had all meteors, which contain all of the meteors in that group. So we're checking to see when any of the meteors in that meteor group, if any one of them hit the ship, then the game will be over. Okay, so we're gonna go down. Right after we update the sprites, we can say check to see if any meteors hit the ship. And what this does is it returns a list containing all the sprites in a group that intersect with another sprite. Okay, so it's gonna, so every single time that there's a hit, it's gonna take that, it's gonna note that event and put it inside of a list, and we want to go through that list and say, okay, well, if this happens, then we'll do this. Okay, so we're gonna say what we're checking for meteors, right? So I'm gonna call it Meteor Collision. Okay, you can call this anything you want. I like to name it based on what's happening. Equals pygame dot sprite collide. Okay, and remember that the sprite collide, we have two things going on here. We want to know the single sprite and the group of sprite, and if we want to eliminate them from the screen. Okay, so player is our single sprite. The group was called all meteors, and we do not want to take it off the screen for now. Okay, we don't want to do that. We'll just leave it, and we'll say then if meteor collision. Okay, now when you say if meteor collision, that means that if there is something in the list, if this is true. Okay, so if there's something in the list, then running is equal to false, and we name it false in order to get out of the while loop that it's currently in. So go ahead and run this, and you'll see that there is an error. Meteor collision is not defined. So I definitely did not spell that right. There you go. All right. So going, dodging a few, and it hits me, and you'll see how fast that was. Let's go back and just do that one more time. So anything that hits, it's automatically done. Okay, and that's exactly what we want. Now we want to be able to shoot the meteors. So just the same way that we had a player class and we had a meteor class, we're going to then create a whole new class here for bullets. So class bullet, same exact beginning. All right, so pygame sprite. Okay, and this is going to be the attributes for the bullet class. I'll go back and correct that mistake there. Let's go back here. Let's just add that on. All right, and now we have define init self. Okay, same thing as the others. Then a really long line, sprite init. Okay, so first things always first, let's create an image for this, which we will use a pygame.surface. Okay, and we will make this, remember that's a double parentheses inside here, 10 by 20, so it'll be 10 pixels wide, but 20 pixels long. So it's gonna look like a long rectangle, which is cool. And then we will fill that with yellow. Yellow. Okay. And then take the rectangle around that. So self.image.getRect. Making so many simple errors today. And now we have to think about what's gonna happen. Okay. Now when you shoot the bullet, where do we want it to spawn? So I'm gonna go ahead and I think I have this thing right. Yeah. Okay. So we want the bullet to spawn right in the middle, okay, of the ship. So the bullet's placement is directly dependent on where the center of this ship is going to be. Okay, and of course the ship isn't going to be in one location, so we're going to have it so that every single time that the ship is moving, okay, we are sending that centered location. Okay, because we want the bullet to be able to move out from these exact spots. Okay, then in addition to that, the bullet has no need to travel to the left or the right, has no need to go down. It simply just goes all the way up. Okay, and just imagine the amount of bullets that you're going to be shooting. There's already 1, 2, 3, 4 on the screen, and I'm sure that we just clicked it 4 times really quickly. So when they go past the screen, we want to get rid of them. So we can put all the bullets in a group, since there'll be multiple of them on the screen, and then we can control, when they go above the screen, we can take them away and delete them from the program. Okay, so a lot of things we have going on. The first thing we'll do is the bullet speed going up. So we'll say self.speed y. Okay, and I can't make it 10 because if I make it 10, that means it's going to be going down, right? But the bullet goes up. So this needs to be a negative. The second thing is in this init function, okay, these are where all the attributes are initialized here. So I'm going to pass 2 things. I'm going to pass the x, I'm going to pass a y. The x and the y, so x and y represent the center of the ship. Okay, so wherever the bullet is, it's going to be formed in the middle of the ship, wherever that ship is, I should say. Okay, and so then we'll just have define update. Okay, and we'll just put pass for now. Right, that means we'll come back to this. I can run this, there won't be any errors, perfectly fine. Coming down here now, all right, we have to think now, when is the bullet going to be made? Usually it's only made if we hit a certain key. So if we come down, see where the events were. Okay, we're going to add an event. And one of the events that we're going to add is if event.type is equal to pygame.keyDown, and if the event.key is equal to pygame.k underscore space, that's a space bar, then we're going to say player.shoot bullet. Right? Now, what does this mean? Okay, because the word player, right, this player means that I'm calling upon that player class that we created over here, and that means that within the player class there is a method, okay, called shoot bullet. But if we scroll up to where our player class is, which is all of these right here, there is nothing here that allows me to shoot a bullet. So I just wrote this in anticipation of us making one. So we're going to go up and we're going to go ahead and make one right now. Okay, so shoot bullet, just copy that. and scroll up to where our player class is, and we could just add that right here. Okay, so define shoot bullet. Whoa, hold on a second. That's what happens when you try to rush too much. Okay, and then we're gonna say we're gonna create and shoot a bullet when the space bar is pressed. All right, so first thing is, once the person presses the space bar, it's going to call this function, which is going to create the bullet. The way that we create the bullet is we can say bullet, or we can just say b is equal to bullet. All right, so I'm creating a bullet, or I'm creating an object of this class here. Okay, and you remember that in the init, I'm passing an x and I'm passing a y. So I want to pass something every time that we create this bullet, and that's going to be self.rect.center x. This is the center of the player. So wherever the player is, I'm sending that location. Like, so wherever the ship is at the moment that I press the space bar, it's going to send the center x coordinate of the ship and self.rect.top, as well as the top of the ship. So I'm sending that. Then after I've created that, we want to add it. So we're going to add it to something called all bullets.add, which we have not created yet. So we're going to make sure we go back down and do that. And then we're going to add it to all sprites. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and create an all bullets group. So where did we have our sprites here? So right here, we'll say all bullets, PyGame.sprite.group. Okay, and then we'll group. This means that we're just literally all grouping all the bullets together. TOGTHER. All right. Cool. So let's see what we have now. Okay, we have so we passed the center here and we passed that. So now down here, what I should really do now is, after I've gotten the rectangle, I'm gonna say self.rect.x is equal to x. So the x coordinate is going to be equal to the x here, and then self.rect.y is equal to y. This was the y coordinate of where the ship was. Okay, and now let's see what happens. Actually, oh wait, actually nothing would happen. Let's see why. All right, so we have this, and look, you see, if you saw what happened there, let me just run it really quickly. I'm pressing the space bar, moving around, and literally nothing is happening. Okay, that's because down here we never told the bullet to move. So self.rect.y plus equals self.speed.y. Right, so we're going to be adding on -10, which means that we're going to be going up like this. If we were to go ahead and shoot this, you should see now that's coming straight from the middle of the ship. See, of course nothing's going to happen when we shoot them because we haven't programmed that yet. Another thing though that may seem subtle is that every single time that you press a space bar, all the bullets are being created, they're going up, right? And soon, in like a 4-minute game, you'll have thousands of bullets. All of that is still part of the program, which will eventually slow it down. So what we're going to say then is if self.rect.bottom, so if the bottom of the bullet, okay, and again, just as a visual, if the bottom of the bullet, okay, this is the bottom right here, goes above the screen, so if we want to, once it gets here, we're going to kill the bullet because there's no way for us to get it back, right? There's no need for that, and we're going to just remove it from the program. So if self.rect.bottom is less than 0, all right, then self.kill. And so now if we go ahead and run this, we should have, I mean, you wouldn't really be able to see it right now, but everything works out pretty good. Okay, the last thing that we can probably just do is let's go ahead and just have it so that when we shoot, we can actually see it decrease, or like the meteor go away. So we're going to say check to see if the bullet hits a meteor. Okay, now think about what a bullet is. The bullet is part of a group. The meteors are part of a group. So we can't use the sprite collide because the sprite collide only looks at a single sprite interacting with a group. So going back to this, okay, there is, if we scroll down, there's a whole bunch of different things. Let me scroll down here. The sprites collides, we can collide by circles, mask, group collide. See this right here? Group collide. Click on that. Here it is right here. And it says find all the sprites that collide between two groups. And notice everything here and all the parameters here, right? So the first group, the second group, do we want to eliminate or kill the first any one of those people in the first group, and also in the second group, and then of course collided none. These are just different ways to show interactivity between the collisions, right? And then really important is that it says every sprite inside the first group is added to a return dictionary. The value for each of these in the list, the value for each item is the list of sprites in group 2 to interact. Okay, so we'll talk about more of that later, but what we can do here is we can say bullet collision is equal to PyGame dot sprite dot group collide, and we want to interact with all meteors. Okay, so I'm putting all meteors first because this is all the attributes here of the rectangle of these meteors are going to be stored in a dictionary, and we're going to have to access this later. Okay, so all meteors, all bullets is the second group. True means I do want to get rid of the meteor after this collision, and the second true is I do want to get rid of the bullet at the end, because remember we only got rid of the bullets if they went above the screen, and now we want to get rid of them if there is a collision between the meteor and the bullet. Okay, and so we'll say if bullet collision, COLLISION, okay, if that's true, well, actually, we'll keep it right here for now. We can work on that part later. Let's see. I want to take it step by step. Okay, so you'll see that now whenever you shoot something, they are going away, right? And just before we end this, what happens now when I kill them all? They don't respond. Okay, so we're gonna have to write up or insert a piece of code here that every single time that we did interact or that there is a collision, we would spawn a new meteor, because the only times that we actually spawn a new meteor, if you remember, was here, right? We only spawned a new meteor if it went off the screen, but we didn't say anything about if there was a collision between the bullet and the meteor. So we just have to insert that little piece there, okay, which we'll do in another video.